Welcome to another episode of Speaking with the Senator. And today we're going to be talking again about politics and, of course, a new candidate to the field. And from Hollis, I want to welcome Jackie Langley.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Jackie.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you coming. And there's something I think you and I have some in common. You play the guitar.
Yes, I do.
I haven't heard you play. Or have I?
Well, at the Grape Festival or something, we had a little booth there or something, and I think I had my ukulele out or something like that.
You play that too as well? Okay.
Not so much. I went through like a phase where I played the ukulele.
Yeah.
And now I play the guitar, and I guess my second instrument is, well, I play the bass as well, but I've been getting into pianos and all that.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating about that is you remember, having to overcome the F chord on the guitar and all that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You've got to do this, that, and everything. The piano, you just walk up and you go, every other key, you go boom, and there it is.
Yeah.
And there's more possibilities that you can do, and it just gives you another perspective and all that. But,
yeah, it actually helps you visualize a little bit the theory of music. I know Representative Jim Cofault, he got himself a keyboard or a piano, and we were talking about this at another event, and just saying how that, first thing in the morning, before everybody's up, you just go and you spend a little time on that, just clear the mind and get into a good mood. And so music, it brings people together.
I read Harry Truman started every day at the piano.
Did he really?
Yes.
Oh, no kidding. I did that. Oh, I do that every morning with the guitar. I'm still learning.
Right.
But I'll do like a half hour, 45 minutes with that. But so you're from Hollis?
Actually, I'm from Waltham, Mass., but I've lived in Hollis for 24 years.
24 years. Okay, so you're starting to become a native?
I'm almost there. I'm almost there, Only 24 years.
So we call you a refugee up here, right? When you come from across the border from
I moved to New Hampshire because I could. I got a job in Nashua, New Hampshire at BAE Systems. I worked in that government office, and we were living down in Medway, Mass., and my wife was teaching at the Perkins School for the Blind. And I said to her, we could move up there. We could save a little bit on taxes, and I just like everything that's good about New Hampshire.
Yeah.
When I moved up here, Craig Benson was the governor, and we had 2 Republican representatives and 2 Republican senators, and but the world's catching up to us, I guess, as well. And I'm trying to push back a little bit, if you will.
Yeah, and just preserve a little bit of our culture that we enjoyed a little while ago. So you work for BAE?
I worked in the government office for BAE.
Okay.
I'm a retired Department of Defense employee.
Okay.
And my job title was I was an industrial engineer. I'm a degreed industrial engineer. My last job there was I was a cost monitor. I'd go out and I'd with a teammate, I'd audit programs and just make sure that the numbers were being charged right and all that. Because what you have over there is you have a lot of cost plus work. Like if you want to build a new missile system, there's not a lot of people that are going to say, okay, let me do that. Let me, develop my piece, and then you can pick and choose and all that. So typically it's a cost plus contract. A lot of these efforts are there, and the people that make the decisions on how the program's going, left or right, over cost, under cost, they have to believe the numbers that they're getting in their reports there. And my role was to make sure that those numbers were believable. I'd go through what the reports are. I'd do random samples and say, okay, your number says 15 here, show me your 15, and how you accumulate that and all that. But
very interesting. So what I'm reading right now is that you're an analytical mind, and that's one of the things that we kind of need up there at the Capitol. You do a lot of, that's just the way I'm reading you as.
Okay, well, yeah.
And it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's somebody who looks at the facts and looks at the figures and tests them and makes sure that they add up. And it's, with a lot of emotion that's going around these days, it's good to, come to earth and okay, let's look at the facts. Let's see what's going on and deal with the issues that are at hand. So you put your hat in the race to run for state representative in Hollis.
Right.
What are some of the issues that you're hearing as you're knocking on doors?
Well, I hear I'd just like to say why I'm running. First off, I'm running because I can. I know there's a lot of people out there that are passionate as me,
Sure.
but they have jobs, they have obligations and all that. I'm retired now, and I can do that. And my main motivation for running is I see an ever-encroaching approach from Concord and from Washington, D.C. to pretty much come and re-engineer our suburbs. Pretty much they want to kind of usurp the zoning authority, the zoning board authorities. And the zoning boards have always been, I guess, the gateway to make sure that towns don't grow out of control and all that.
So you support local control with the zoning ordinances?
Absolutely. That would be the main reason why I'm running.
Yep.
I'm running to preserve local control of how our communities are built, and how we build in the future. Hollis is a town of about 8,000, and right now in process we have about 79 new housing units. They're not being built now, but they're going through the processes and all that. And that's all coming like organically through the present system, through the zoning boards and all that. And I think we're doing our part, and I think that's fine. But there's been like House Bill 1291, which almost passed. What that would have done is it would have usurped local zoning authority,
Right.
and it would have allowed homeowners to build 2 additional dwelling units on their property and just override the zoning boards.
And one of the things about that, Jackie, is the fact that once the state comes in and they start usurping that authority, now the state changes hands every 2 years.
Yes.
Right? And so you have a different personality basically every 2 years running it. And that different personality can change all kinds of things once they have that power. So you want to protect that local power, and I think that's one of the things that you're trying to address. And I do know that local individuals can change your zoning rules every 10 years or every time you put in a new master plan. So it's not like, well, this is set in stone forever.
Right.
Every 10 years you get a fresh look at it. You have to come up with your town manager or your city, your mayor or whatever. They can address that particular issue. But once you take that authority away and give it to the state, well, now,
Well, then they can start looking at things like, well, we have a lot of conservation land over there.
Yeah.
They can say, well, gee, you have so much conservation land. Couldn't some of this be affordable housing? And gee, you're Hollis and you have 2-acre requirements. That's not really right. Shouldn't you be doing more? And I'm just trying to protect what our local community's authority is. If my local zoning board says, okay, we're going to build a couple of housing towers in Monument Square, I wouldn't be for that. But at the same time, it's like that's my local zoning board. And if they make the decision, that's fine. I mean, I see in Nashua, there's a lot of new housing going up, like on Canal Street. There's that old garage that used to be there, and now it looks like there's like a 3 or 4 story building with lots of housing units.
Right across the street, there's going to be another development right before the bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, Morin's Auto was kicked out of there, and there's another development that's going to be going up there as well.
Well, a city like Nashua or a city like Manchester, may want that. Manchester may want to build a few more skyscrapers or whatever they have up there, and Nashua might, want to have a little bit more building and things like that. And if the local towns decide, that's fine. But I live out in Hollis where they call themselves a farming community. And, I guess we have it's a leafy suburb, and I'd like that to be preserved.
Right.
And if it's going to change, I'd like the change to be happening from Hollis
organically, locally,
rather than from Concord
right.
or even Washington, D.C. now. Washington, D.C., a lot of that HUD money now, if you want a dime of it, you have to put together some type of affordable housing plan.
Right. And again, that just basically usurps local control.
The further away a decision is made, the less influence you have, and the greater the possibility that the outcome may not be positive for you.
Right. Or in your best interest, for sure.
The best the philosophy is you want to govern as close as you can. You know, like Hollis, you know, we'd like to govern like how our local community is, and in Washington, D.C., well, they should worry about if we're going to fight another war and things like that. They might not, you know, there should be boundaries there. You know,
Right.
we have the 10th Amendment, which seems to have gone away and all that. But I mean, that's the philosophy, because if you can go down and you can talk to the zoning board and say, well, geez, you know, I've lived here for a long time, and gee, my grandfather's moving in. We'd like to put up an additional unit and all that. And, you know, we've done the water test. I think we have adequate facilities to put this in. You know, that's where the decision should be made.
Right. You can get a variance if it doesn't if it's not up to
Right. What I'm talking about is where the authority should lie, and
Right.
the authority for things like that should rely at the town level.
and protecting that is your number one goal.
That's right.
Yeah. Are there any other issues, small issues that you're concerned about? I mean, you're not for an income tax, are you?
No, I'm not. And in fact, you know, the old Governor Thompson saying, low taxes are a result of low spending. And I absolutely believe that. And, you know, the numbers have to add up. There's always a good cause coming down the road. Like maybe we should have pre-K, or, you know, we need to feed the kids during the off school days and
Right.
things like that. But, you know, we have to live within our means, and, you know, we have to make those decisions there. And it's funny, it's like once a program starts, it never really seems to end.
Right.
And at the state level, it's a little bit like whack-a-mole. There's like a lot of these little entities that don't spend a lot of money, but depending on, you know, like you say, everything changes every 2 years. If we get the wrong people in there or something like that, those things can explode.
Yeah. You know, I was just kind of reflecting as you're talking about that, and a little bit here, a little bit there. You know, sometimes when Senator Morse was the Senate president,
Right.
you know, he'd sit there and he'd listen to all us going back and forth, and he said, well, you want $5 million for this, or you want this, and you want that, and $30 million here. Now you're talking. He says, hold on, everybody.
Right.
You're gonna spend us into oblivion, and I love that about Chuck, because he was he'd listen, and then he was very direct as far as, look, you can't just keep spending money. After a while, you set up all these programs with this one-time dollar thing, and then the programs got to be funded the following year. Where are you going to get the money?
Right.
Where are you going to get the money? Because now you set something up, and now you put the taxpayers on the hook for it. And basically it would say, just put on the brakes. Okay, think about what you're doing. And he was very forceful that way. And I that's one of the things I really liked about Senator Morse is, you know, the idea that this whole whack-a-mole thing is, like you had mentioned, you got to be careful.
Right, because also, too, once you have something in place, it's easier to grow something that's already in place than to start something fresh.
Right.
You know, like you could say, like maybe, I might be blowing the term, but there's like a human rights council or something like that. And, you know, I don't know, maybe they're in charge of posters of people to, you know, like everybody and get along and all that. But, you know, a new election could come along and they could say, you know, we need to do like universal education for XYZ and all that. And they say, you know, rather than trying to start a new program, we already have this human rights entity right here. Why don't we just expand their budget, and, you know, maybe it'll get by. No one will see that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You brought up education. That seems to be one of the concerns that some of my constituents have, which you're part of them actually.
Right.
And that is obviously the cost of education, but the choice in education. What we're discovering is that these EFA programs are costing a lot less than the traditional government schools, and giving these poor kids an opportunity to learn in a way that would benefit them. And when it benefits them, it benefits the culture. But we get a little resistance from the other side of the aisle on that.
Well, Yeah, I am for education freedom accounts.
Yeah.
I think education freedom accounts will yield education choices. Education choices will bring about competition, and competition will bring about better results. And also, too, it's kind of unrealistic for, say, like a high school to say, okay, you can cover everything A to Z. You know, like in Waltham, we had a vocational school where we broke off around ninth grade, you know, where the people that felt they were college bound or whatever went up to the high school, and the others went to the voc school there. And, you know, you could be an auto mechanic, a plumber, an electrician, and we need all those people. We
do.
need people
The
in the
trades.
trades. We need to value all labor, you know,
Yeah.
all jobs. It's not just the CEOs and all that we should worship. We should worship the people doing the work down
Oh
there.
my gosh, yeah, and they're extremely valuable. Another issue, excuse me, that I'm hearing, and I was actually surprised. I knocked on this door, and the lady, she's about 85 years old. And we're just having a little chat, and turned into about a half hour. And she said, my family came over from Greece, and we came over the right way.
Right.
We went through the right process, and we documented the right way, and we didn't have a whole lot. We didn't have a lot, but what we did is we had opportunities, and we tried to assimilate into what we thought was the American dream, and we love this country. But now what I see, when tens of millions of people are crossing the border illegally, and they're sucking up all the resources. This lady's talking to me like this, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't have to say a word. I'm just listening to what you have to say.
Right.
They don't like the people jumping ahead of line, getting the resources, and that her property taxes and federal taxes are having to pay for that. She didn't like, it was like she's preaching to me, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm listening. But the border security, what are your thoughts?
Well, I listened to Lily Tang Williams talk. She introduced her father and her brother, and she told us that they came the legal way. And she goes, she said, if we hear people say that we need the labor here, she said, right now, there's about the backlog for coming into this country legally is about 1 million. So we have that. But I absolutely agree that we should enforce our border laws. And because the country has been flooded with this, everybody lives somewhere, and supply and demand. And really, I believe that's the main driver behind our housing crisis, that they call it right now. The prices have jumped higher than they normally would have. Our kids, you have kids probably around that age trying to get their first house there and all that. And things are just out of sight right now.
I was driving down Manchester Street in Nashua maybe last week, and I thought, wait a second, school hasn't started yet, but there was this long line going into Mount Pleasant and the school, and parents with their children, and I inquired about it. It was a soup line. It was a soup kitchen. And I'm thinking, wow, I've never seen that before. I mean, I know we have a soup kitchen in Nashua, but I've never seen it there, which was very interesting. But I have an opponent who hails from your town. His name is Ben Ming, and
Yes.
One of the things he's trying to associate the property taxes with the EFA programs, the Educational Freedom Accounts. And I just think, what planet is this guy on? Because you have open borders right now. We tried to make sure that New Hampshire wasn't a sanctuary city,
Right.
Friendly, and he voted against that. So allowing the sanctuary cities to be in Nashua and Manchester and surrounding towns, Lebanon, Keene, what that does is, like you said, it takes away from the housing, the food sources, and
it's not just housing; it's everything else.
well, I was just trying to think. Your medical,
Yes.
first responders,
Yes.
and on and on and on, and all those have to be paid for by somebody.
Right.
It's not the federal government's coming in and taking care of the whole situation. So allowing New Hampshire to become a place where you can have a sanctuary city, basically, for those who are on fixed incomes, they're the first ones to feel it.
Yes, it hurts down at that level the most.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
But so you're not for sanctuary cities, I assume.
no, I'm not. I'm for the democratic process where we pass laws and we hire police and other agencies to enforce them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One other point I'd like to say is I am pro-gun. I'm not a gun owner, but I know what happens in a society when you take away people's guns.
Mm-hmm.
That's when, the people in power, that's when they have all the power, and there's really nothing you can do. And I kind of see that's like, it's unfortunate anyone gets shot, but it's also, this is something that you can never really eliminate, and that's sad. But it just seems like when somebody does, like when there's a school shooting somewhere or something like that, it's like there's like this invisible force that just jumps on that shooting, and they have their marketing plan ready. They're all ready to go, and the solution always seems to be, take away the guns of
law-abiding citizens.
Law-abiding citizens, and they never talk about the gun-free zones. And a gun-free zone to me is like an invitation to mentally unstable people. If you don't care about your life and you just want to go and kill a whole lot of people, which seems to be what these school shootings are, a gun-free zone is like an invitation to come on in.
Jackie, here's one thing that really bothers me, because, some people say, well, somebody wants to go in and they want to do that, right? They might be mentally unstable. They might be. They might have a mental illness. But there also could be the possibility that they're just plain old evil. And people totally disregard that, and they soften the blow. There are people out there that are evil.
There is evil in this world. That's why we have wars.
And that being the case, law-abiding citizens should be able to defend themselves. I was looking on X the other day, and I was just kind of scrolling. It's kind of like a ticker thing, and
right.
There was a meme or a little video of individuals, I think it was in the UK. You can't own a gun in the UK.
Right.
So man's walking his children down the street in a stroller, 2 children, and their dog. And an individual comes up with a knife, stabs him in the neck. It was gruesome. It was horrible. There's no reason for it. He wasn't getting robbed. He just killed him. And then they bragged about it, and he showed a picture of himself on it. And I'm thinking, that's evil. That's not a mental illness. That is just the pleasure of doing something to hurt somebody that you don't like.
Well, like in Great Britain, what you see is because nobody can have a gun,
right.
You see a lot more home invasions because, in this country, you look at a house and you say, well, they may have a gun or they may not have a gun. So even if you don't have a gun, you kind of protect it because other people have a gun and they just can't just barge in and,
mm-hmm.
Have their way with you. But in England, that happens a lot, and you see like bars, bars on windows and other things like that. I think if somebody invades your house and all that, if there's ever a case where it's justified to use deadly force to protect yourself,
yeah.
that is it. And in England and a lot of these other countries, that people can't do that, and they have to kind of barricade their houses and all that. That's their defense.
When I was a kid here in Nashville, I remember we used to hang out by the dam on All Street, and some of the kids, fall was coming, and everybody took their hunter safety course. Guess where they took their hunter safety course?
Probably Mine Falls. Maybe?
No, they took their hunter safety course in schools.
Okay.
Yeah, and that way they could get their license to go hunting. And they would come out and they'd show their shotgun, and it was like, oh, that's cool, and they were safe about it.
Right.
Something has changed.
Yes, so all of a sudden.
Why is there so much violence? We had guns.
Uh-huh.
They've been around forever. And it wasn't the norm back then.
Mm-hmm.
This whole push to do violence and all of a sudden you can get away with it. We didn't, if you had violence in our day, it was more you get punched in the face.
Well,
it wasn't so deadly back then. It seems.
We seem to handle things a little bit different back then. I know I'm 65. I guess I'm showing my age
gosh,
and
you're
things
old.
like that. I remember diving boards on on hotel swimming pools. That's how far back I go. But yes, but
Things have
you know,
changed.
I just New Hampshire's safe because we have good gun laws. We have concealed carry. The evil people just can't, you know, go around and say, hey, you know, no one's got a gun here. We can just go beat people up. You know, we can take a jackhammer and hit them over the head and all that.
Yeah.
So, but no. And,
So how do people get in touch with you if they want to help you out with your campaign?
well, I have a webpage.
You do? All right.
JackieLangley.com.
JackieLangley.com.
Right.
Right. And they can contribute if they need to contribute or if they want to ask you questions?
Well, right now I'm self-financing the campaign. If I make it through the primary, that might change and all that. But I have my positions out there. I have a little bit about myself. I talk a little bit about my music and all that. And like I said, I'm running because I can. I love everything that's good about New Hampshire. When I moved here, New Hampshire was like a small government. There was a small government mindset, and people seem to take care of themselves. But you know, it seems like slowly but surely, government keeps on growing and growing and growing. And as government grows, it takes away from the individual.
Right. The bigger it becomes more self-interested than
Right. They
responsible.
start making these decisions that we used to make for ourselves.
Yeah. What's your favorite song that you play?
Let's see. I was so much.
This happens to me.
My back pages.
Your back pages?
My back pages by Bob Dylan. I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, that would be it. I play that about 3 times a week and all that. I played that at my retirement parties.
Are you going to be playing? I know I'm going to be playing at Great Fest October 20th. Are you going to be playing too?
I haven't committed to that yet,
Okay.
but if I don't make it through the primary, most likely I will. Yes.
Okay. Well, my band's going to be playing, so hopefully you'll be there. Great Fest is in Hollis, and that's in the town circle.
Yes.
The Fulcino Vineyard's actually sponsoring that, like they do, and it's a great event. Jackie, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wish you
I really
the best.
appreciate it.
And thank you for watching Speaking with the Senator. And if you like the show, please hit like. If you don't like the show, please hit like, because it helps out with the algorithm and helps get our message out. So and subscribe if you have a chance, and share it. So until next week, thanks for watching Speaking with the Senator.